Good morning. Good morning, esteemed professors. Good morning, esteemed audience. This is a paper which Professor Joe and we are trying to develop. But as the topic suggests, this paper is, laden with, married to a lot of disruptions and uncertainties. I don't know when we are going to publish this. Maybe after this conference. Fine. As
Yeah.
my mentor once opined that the days of theoretical underpinnings are going to be shaped, or they are going to be taken over by findings from neuroscience. And ladies and gentlemen, we shy management and economics faculty, students, scholars, and advocates, initially we protested, we were allergic adopting neuroscience, radiology, and neurology to management and economics. But today a stage and an age has come in the 21st century where neuroscience has become a part and parcel and the principal driver of economics and management. We cannot per se divorce ourselves from this new field. Fine. So what my senior author, Professor Joe, is of the opinion, and I have also referred to some of her publications and some of the joint papers that we have published, and also I was just browsing through the review of her book, which she released yesterday. Management was initially based on a prototype of reasonableness. If X is Y, then certainly X has to be Y. And why X was equal to Y? Because X was giving us a lot of inputs, as a result of which Y was providing us the maximum utility, maximization of utility. With whatever suited our goal, aim, ambition, vision, philosophy, we grabbed in inverted commas. But today, with the advent of neuromanagement, ladies and gentlemen, this interdisciplinary force has outlived all those axioms, theorems, arguments, deductions, and inferences. And slowly, decision is no more a decision or picking up the best alternative or the best choice, but it's a trial. You and I, we can never ever boast that we have arrived at a decision. We can at best say that we have arrived at a near optimal situation wherein we feel that the decision that we have taken is perhaps the best. Given an alternative substitute or a complementary option, we always think that whether the decision that I took was correct or what is being offered to me as an alternative is correct. So there is a degree of uncertainty and confusion always there. So it's just like a pendulum theory in physics. And the pragmatic utility concept is now of paramount importance, wherein we are trying to objectify, like a DOI, we are trying to objectify the neural correlates of choice. Yesterday in my presentation, I said that all the 5 sense organs play a role in tandem as far as decision making is concerned. And look at the anatomy or the physics of the human body. All the 5 sense organs are above our chin and below our scalp: eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin. They are all co-located near the brain. They help the brain to take a decision. All right. And the sophisticated scanners like the EEGs, the scalps, the scalp caps, the EEGs, the ECGs, the skin conductance equipments, the eye trackers, they are all now interpreting the subjective as well as the objective dynamics of those neurocorrelates. We can't say that, whatever one equipment has given us, that's full and final. Absolutely not. That would be a big fallacy. And so in this melee, I would say, how is the poor manager or the entrepreneur or the decision maker going to take a decision? It's a big question. Answers are many. Schools of thoughts are many. We can really debate it out. I always propose a DAD model, DAD model: debate, argue, and discuss. But whatever results we arrive at, they are still subject to further DAD. So this DAD is now a cyclic process. Some of the issues that we have identified after scanning through various literature is that how do we interpret such answers when there is a conflict? When there is a conflict, there is a fog. When there is a fog, there is a confusion. When there is a confusion, there is chaos. When there is chaos, there is calamity. And there is calamity, it is a state of no decision. And knowing how well the eyes and the ears and other sense organs work, whom do we trust? Which organ of the body do we trust while crafting a decision? And even if we trust some part of the human body, now the question is, what are going to be its academic implications, societal implications, managerial implications, business and economic implications. Now, there's a new field called neuroeconomics, which has come up quite very well in the United States of America and Europe, but it's taking baby steps in Asia, except Japan and Korea, and in India, it has just started galloping or cantering, I would say, when we ride a horse. So the moot question, ladies and gentlemen, is how should managers plan? Is it that easy to plan? Is it that easy to plan when you have got all the uncertainties, you have got all the probabilities, you have got all the risks, then you have got the scarcity of resources, that old theorem, economic studies, human behavior in an era or in an aura or in a spectrum of scarce resources wherein the demands are chopping up but the resources are dwindling down. What do we do? I would just off the course just suggest that the SDG, Sustainable Development Goals, that have been listed out very well in the charter, can we really take a decision on that? Can we really eradicate poverty? If yes, how? Can we really eradicate climate nuances? If nuances, if yes, how? So for everything there is a question mark, and every question mark leads to a semicolon, which is neither a full stop nor a comma. So we need to seek answers through eye tracking, which we are doing. Neurobehavioral spotters, which Professor Joe, my elder author and my mentor, she is mentoring me on this. We are also trying to find out the decision edifice, the podium on which, the pedestal on which the decisions can be based, and not to forget the tectonics or the shifting of plates via disruptions and uncertainties. We have earlier heard of VUCA and Bunny. Now, in bold, two siblings have taken birth. One is RUPT and one is TUNA. RUPT stands for Rapid, Uncertain, Paradoxical, and Tangled Tuna. TUNA, tuna, which reminds me of my favorite fish, is turbulent, uncertain, novel, and ambiguous. So in a four-dimensional quadrant where you have VUCA, Bunny, Rupt, and Tuna, what do we do? How do we do? Now, then again, the mathematicians and the statisticians have not taken a lenient view on us. They are plastering us with a lot of mathematical models, statistical models, operational research models. And they're also trying to prove us that our science, our art, and our tactic is disputable. How do we take care of that? Should we satisfy the mathematical models? I per se have a very firm, strong belief. I may be unconventional, I may be orthodox in my thinking approach, but any study which is based on data is actually not the realistic study, because whatever data we take, say 250, 300, 2000 data, is not the universal representation of the universal population. So anything, any data, any study that we conduct on data is actually a localized study, right? So the decision management is often devoted to the study of surrogate systems instead of reality, because there are so many factors coming in. Biology offers a completely new attitude to decision making. Yesterday I was mentioning to the other panelist, there is a study on C. elegans, the microorganism which is hardly 1 mm in length. It has got hardly 400 neurons, and we have got 1 trillion neurons. The same style of decision making that the C. elegans takes is exactly the same that we as human beings take. So 1 trillion neurons minus 400 trillion, minus 400 neurons, whatever is the amount or the residue or the number, are they waste in our brain? Big question for us to answer or explore. So we need to have some inductive modeling in spite of deductive modeling. Some of the selected inquiries in this paper that we'll be presenting for publication to the conference organization is how to account for information about value, risk, ambiguity, and timing. As a decision maker, we are beautifully, hit from three angles. One, infoplosion, that is info explosion. Two, from info drought, lack of information. And third, infotectonics. Even if there is some information, there is a lot of tectonics. There are a lot of changes every hour, every minute, and every second. What do we do? So again, it's a three-dimensional trap. So is there a relationship between the external variables and decision choice criterion being used? Yes, it cannot be discarded. And do we have digital inferential data for logical inquiry? Yes, the thing is now seeping in with AI. Now, another point of caution, ladies and gentlemen, we are so adapted to AI, artificial intelligence, chat GPT, this, that. Remember, every software that comes has a shelf life. Does anybody now remember 20 years back we had the floppy disks, CD-ROMs? Does anybody remember we had programs like Lotus, Photon, Pascal, COBOL? No. Ubuntu had come. Do we remember? No. We try to recollect. We don't remember. So how can these changes be elucidated by the neurobehavioral management? Neurobehavioral management, NBM. That's the order of the day. That's the call of the hour. And how do we distinguish the players of choice? And in this players of choice, we are the biggest stakeholders, because as late Professor Daniel and late Professor Amos Tversky, the two champions of decision making, have said that we are loaded with biases. And that bias is really going to create a lot of havoc, because bias is just like a superstition, like the previous speaker was saying. In China, figure number 4 is a superstition, and in Europe, figure number 13 is a superstition, including India. So how do we take care of the biases? Then we have the mental architecture, we have the mental structures, then we have the mental algorithms, then we have our own biases, then we have our own viewpoints, then we have the backup knowledge, then we have the previous experience. So it's all jumbled up, and in this potpourri, what do we do? How do we do? So, in spite of everything, we have a set of debatable goals, which is never going to end. And this has really transformed managerial sciences, where the players are supposed to be irrational. You have a book, you have a theory by Dan Arley of USA, Rationality in Irrationality and Irrationality in Rationality. Professor Dan Arley of USA has written a book on this. And he has said that sometimes you have to be rational in an air of irrationality, and sometimes you have to be irrational in an air of rationality. And as Professor Albert Einstein had said once, eccentricity is the hallmark of a genius. Maybe that's the prophecy is coming true. So I end with a comment by Mueller. Decision management provides a range of mathematical models as a science, but there is an element of disputability. This science is often devoted to study of surrogate systems instead of reality. It's a case of surrogate, because there is nothing realistic. No, we can't say with conviction that this is the approach, this is the decision, this is the set of factors which is going to help us take a decision. No. And biology is offering a new attitude to decision making, which is based on empirical research and inductive modeling. As I said, we have to now go in for empirical research, because the eyes speak a lot, the sweat speaks a lot, the brain speaks a lot, our chest, the heart speaks a lot. So we have to bring data from all these 4 directions, marry them up. Then we have to go for data sieving, data analysis, image analysis, image interpretation, and a whole lot of things. And finally, before I sign off, ladies and gentlemen, the call today through the August house is to scrutinize the philosophy of biology and behavioral models. This is required. I know there is a lot of research going on at the master's and doctorate level, but it's not so in the world. It has to trickle down from US and Europe to lesser known countries in Asia and Africa. So we propose a cause-effect linkage of work for decision making. Every effect has a cause, and every cause is now going to lead to an effect. And we need to explore the multifarious dimensions and discuss about uncertainty, whether it is business or it is economics or entrepreneurship, because this uncertainty will definitely compel us to go in for new configurations, arrangements, and processes. And in this entire game, how is the poor manager or the entrepreneur going to deal? Professor Joe and I, we have used the eye tracking experiment to deduce results. And as and when the paper is submitted and circulated, I'm sure there will be a lot of comments, opinion, and viewpoints, and we are waiting for the same. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So this is how the test is being performed, sir. We are performing tests on 148 tests we have performed, and this is Saccard. Saccard means how the eyeballs are shifting between 2 fixed points. And the paper gives a vivid analysis, but we have found out that there are significant differences in this fixation and Saccard. That means there is uncertainty, and these are some of the path ahead. So I speak a lot because we are trying to learn from the eye tracking point of view. Coming from a business and economics background, we really are a bit uncomfortable, but still taking the baby steps with oxygen mask in this world of neuromanagement. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your patient hearing.